Okay. We are live right now. So, all right, good evening, everybody. It's Thursday with another episode, or the first episode of the year of the Triple Profits Podcast. I'm here this evening with my brother, Tavante Hughes. What's happening, the guru?
Happy New Year. I'm doing great. What's going on, money man Marcus?
Gotta get the money. Hey, I tell you, man, this week has gone by fast already. You know, New year, new me.
Yeah.
I say that to my wife all the time. She's like, same you.
Don't you love how people in your life just kind of be like, shut up, Savon, shut up. You know, like say that to those people, but to me, you just regular old you. You know, they kind of keep you around it. They. Yeah.
Well, hey, we got a good topic today, I believe.
I think it's a great topic, definitely.
So our topic today, and one thing before we go, we're missing our brother JD.
Yeah, shout out to JD.
Couldn't make it for the first podcast of the year. Get well, get some rest. We holler at you. But our topic today, man, new business owners, what they need to avoid. It's important that because it is a business podcast, we touch on this because we run into a lot of people who are just starting a business or starting multiple businesses, and there's a couple things that they need to know. But let's start with this because there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s who are starting businesses just because the money.
Yeah.
They expect to make a lot of money. They expect that, just because they're a business owner, doing a business just out of the love for the money is going to make everything work. But what happens when you really don't know what you're doing or you really don't like that business?
Yeah, that's key. That's key. I think what you said, Marcus, the first thing is just that they a lot of folks are just tired of their job. They're ready to, do something new. They may be even angry with their employee and they're saying, I can do this better. I can go do this, And then when they start that first business, then reality smacks you across the face.
Yep.
Yeah, and you think, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then you end up trading a 9 to 5 to a 9 to 9. Like it's like it becomes from an 8-hour to a 12-hour, 14-hour job, and there's a lot of things that you just are not aware of that goes into the business. Mindset is one of those things. You start out with the first one, like. They start out the business because they want to make a lot of money. And that's, it's important. And money's definitely important to run a business. We're not trying to run a volunteer organizations.
Exactly. That's not a non-for-profit.
Those are money making too, though. You can make money with those too. But, like if you start a for-profit, you actually want to see profits. So it's not a bad thing. But when the objective becomes about the money, you miss out on the other key things that help your business grow, like great customer service, like processes and systems, like ability to get to know your clients at a deep level and thus do proper marketing, like a lot of key things that's going to help you do the business well, that you just have to you can't be focused on the money all the time. You got to focus on those key things so you can really build out the business, and what happens is the development of your business, which in turn develops the revenue.
I tell you too, man, like the doing this appliance repair business, you have if you look at the cash flow quadrant, right? Yeah. You got different statuses. You have at the highest level the investor type, and then on the lower level, because you're a business owner, the business owner where you're doing the things within the business. You're a solopreneur, and as you navigate along that spectrum, you have to start at that solopreneur. So you're working, like you said, heavy hours. I was doing I woke up at 4 a.m. and drove to Fresno and then made it back to Bakersfield, by 8 o'clock just to drop off 2 boxes of stuff and turn right back around. I didn't get paid any overtime for that or anything like that, right? Because it comes with those duties, man. So, but where was I going? Oh, the appliance, taking the loss. When you're in it for the money, people think that when you start the business, the money piles up, right? But realistically, your money, it goes up, it dips down, up and down. It's kind of like, investing in stocks. It'll go up and down, but if you do it right, it'll continuously increase. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, man, if you're doing it just for the money and you don't understand your revenue cycles, you don't understand, you don't have the right systems in place, and you do make a mistake, and you're bleeding some money, then you won't be in business for a long time.
No, you won't. And then there's thing of you got to be creative. I mean, I think what you brought up before was a cash flow quadrant, and I think that's a really good way of talking about mindset for business owners, because we initially think that we started a business, you got your LLC, you have your documentation, you got your accounting, got things in place, that you're a business owner now. That doesn't make you a business owner. You're still not a business owner, because the part that makes you a business owner is how you think about your business. And that's what the cash flow quadrant is about. It's about every quadrant, whether you're an employee, you're a big business owner, you're self-employed, or you're an investor, involves how you think about money and your values. And employee is going to think about safety, security, but a business owner is going to think about, leveraging relationships, people, and things that he has at his he or hers her repertoire, his resources available, right? Leveraging his resources to go do things that he himself or she herself can't do by themselves, and thus, make a lot of money, right?
Right.
So, but those are two very different concepts. One involves being comfortable with risk and comfortable with losses in the big picture scheme of things, big business owner. The other person is trying to just make ends meet and doesn't want to take losses. And you catch yourself, I catch myself acting like an employee sometimes. And I have to smack myself and say, Tefante, you're not an employee anymore. So what, that person that you hired and you started and they promised they go do something, you invested money into them and you got this, and then they called you and said they're not going to do it. Like, what are you going to do? You going to cry? Like, it's frustrating. It's very frustrating to have those things happen, and those things do happen. You just don't know everything. You don't know what you don't know, and you try your best to do what you can do to support your business, but there are going to be things like that happen. You're going to have cash flow shortages. You're going to have moments where you don't have the cash flow, and you're going to feel embarrassed because as an employee, your old mindset was that you had a job, you told your mom and daddy you was good, you could take care of yourself. Now you started a business that nobody thought you could do no way, and you take a risk, and they told you, like, I told you so, you should have done that, So you can't take those two mindsets in the same space. You can't do that. You got to let one go to start seeing the other. And what happens on the other side is that I called my accountant because I was like, hey, things are rough. What can I do? He was like, what are you going to do? Go back and work? I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not going back and work.
You go figure it out.
I gotta figure this out. So I was like, okay. And I after some meditation, because that's what I do, calm myself down. Meditation, I said, okay, well, resources I have available to me. I got this, that, and other, this, that, and other. And you just get creative. You get creative, and you look up, and you may have, you may be sitting on some negative cash flow, and then you may look about the resource, you're sitting on 20 grand.
Yep.
That's how it happens, and resources are everywhere. But when you in that fear mode, you got tunnel vision. All you see is what you see in front of you right now. And all you look at that moment is those bills and how they can't get paid, and how you don't want to tell your people that you can't pay them. You know, those are some real fears, man. Because I look at my money sometimes, I'm like, okay, I know I'm good here this month, but I need to get some stuff coming in because I know next month it's gonna be a little tight, you know. And then it could be one surprise expense come through, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got to plan for those. You got to have a contingency plan for those extra expenses. And man, I think like so right now I've went through a full cycle and a half in the appliance repair business. So I know in this area each month what the call volume is basically going to look like, when it's going to spike, when it's going to dip. And it allows you to say, okay, you set your baseline for your budget. And one thing too, you may know it, but you still may be fearful because you see the bank account dwindling a little bit. But as the business owner, you got to be able to plan to know that the bank account is going to dwindle a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if you get past that point, then, you know, you make those adjustments, but not get too freaked out, but just like you said, get the tunnel vision and just make stuff happen at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that what you're saying here, Marcus, is that you got to stay calm, because I realized this, how I started was being calm. How you're going to continue is by being calm. But if you get into that space where you transition from your new business owner. And if you got some time, that's what you're trying to do. All you're trying to do is just bide your time so you can gather the experience. Gather your experience up and do the things you can do, the small things really, really well while things happen for you. And I was just telling Marcus today, you know, just about how I got like blessed, like someone like gifted me $3,000 to wrap one of my vehicles.
Big time.
You know what I'm saying? You know what that came out of? Great customer service.
There you have it.
You can't put a price on it. You cannot put a price on that. I built a relationship with her, not because I was looking for anything, but I was simply enjoying the conversation. She's a fellow entrepreneur like myself. We're talking, I'm transporting her, and she's like, hey, I want to bless your business. And $3,000. Damn, blown away. Still blown away. Still shocked. But it's proof in the pudding that what you're trying to do is you're trying to get out of the mindset of the employee, get your feet under you, get your experience under you, and you can make mistakes, but stay calm, thinking through it, knowing it's a long haul, not the short haul. Yeah. What was our second question, Marcus? So it was the second question was new business owner.
And what happens when you actually get the money?
Yeah. You can start on that. You start on that one. Go ahead.
Hey, man, you buy a Lamborghini, right? That's what you.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be like the mayor, old mayor. He's passed, so I should respect him. But I won't talk about him. He bought a car, bought a Hummer in the middle of a gas shortage. Like, don't do nothing like that. Like, that's not a great example of someone that you want to follow. I mean, that's not judge him. But anyway, go ahead, Marcus.
I mean, so with this one, it can go a lot of different ways, right? You can be somebody who, you know, you start a business, it starts to happen, and you never had this amount of cash on you before. And it could go one or two ways. Hopefully it goes the third way. But you could go and buy the Lamborghini, or you can hoard all your cash and not do anything with it.
Yeah.
Which, man, I'll go to the hoard all the cash, because I'm more of the hoarding the cash type of guy, and I try not to be. So I'm opening up a little bit, challenging myself this year. But if I hold on to most of the cash and don't invest it or don't put it back into the business, then your business won't be able to grow, or either your personal finances won't be able to grow, because if your money's just sitting in the bank,
what's the point?
And you're afraid to spend it because what if I need it for the business, or you're afraid to spend it because, what if I put it in investment? I don't have time because I'm running my business. You're missing out. The opportunity cost of money just sitting is big. You want to be able to use it as a tool.
Exactly. Inflation alone is killing you. But that money just sitting in the bank. That alone is killing you.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things, man. I regret in 2020, I hoarded so much because, everything was going on, pandemic. It's like, man, I want to keep it to have reserve. But, realistically, we kept too much reserves. We could have been where we are in the business right now today within 6 months if I wouldn't have just been, apprehensive to just, put my foot on the pedal and go. But everybody has to learn, take lessons, especially if you don't have a direct mentor. You can be apprehensive, but at the end of the day, that's the opportunity cost.
Yeah, I think what you're showing again is that first you talked about just that make a mistake, you adjust, recognize your mistake, take responsibility for it, and you just make the adjustment. So I'm pretty sure you're already leveling up about how ways you're going to, and you said it already, how you want to, get out of that phase and get to a more balanced state. Because I think what you were saying is both of them can be very detrimental. Spending all your money and just going willy-nilly, you know what I'm saying, it's not so great. And then also hoarding is not so great either because, you want to be able to make sound judgments with it. I think you definitely can do both. Sometimes it just takes making mistakes, You got to make mistakes. So
yeah, you have to fail to learn.
You do. I wish schools would teach that. That would be amazing if kids came out like mostly comfortable. I mean, I think you're never really totally comfortable, but mostly comfortable with like, hey, I'm ready to make mistakes, But what I gotta say about that topic is that, when you get the money, it is, and you're not used to it. I think, I think I'm gonna go with this one. I think, man, this is one of the key things I think that helps change your mindset. Because when you're used to a certain amount of money coming into your account, that your mindset of lack of limitless thinking, limited thinking, right? Or limited thinking, that becomes you because you're looking at your bank account and trying to make something out of your bank account, right? And so that creates your reality for you. But when you start seeing that there is more money coming through your account and you start seeing $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in your checking account, then like that starts to help reawaken your imagination. So it could be a really, really cool thing if you grew up like I did, what I'm saying? Now, my mom wasn't poor, but it wasn't thing of like I was gonna like get everything I wanted. It was like definitely very strategized. We're gonna get these pairs of pants for you're gonna get 5 pairs of pants, 5 shirts, you may get 2 pairs of shoes. And then next year, if you can wear the same you had last year, we're gonna wear it again this year. Yeah, that's how it was.
And you better not grow in between.
Right. And they put the finger in between your pants and they do the jostle and they go, oh, you can wear that next year, buddy. You good, So, but that that had its purpose because of where my mom, my parents, the people where they were. It was good. It helped them conserve. Very good thing to conserve. But when you want to grow, you got to use your imagination. And seeing those resources at your fingertips can have your imagination tingling in ways that you haven't experienced, which is a really great thing for your mindset to grow.
Man, definitely. So no Lambos.
I got my eye on some airplanes. I'm serious. I'm serious. I want to be a private pilot. So I got my plan to buy my first airplane, then my second, and then my third. I'm looking at something like really nice for like my third. You know what I'm saying? Like dual engine. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to take a nice trip this year, man. straight up, man, it's been so long. I deferred my vacation, and then the stupid pandemic hit.
Mm,
It just wiped out my 2020, man. I want to just take a nice vacation, man. That's the goal with the fam. So I'm not gonna teeter and buy the Lambo. I'm not gonna hoard any money anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at it. Part of my goals for this year, I had 6 goals, and one of my goals was to take what I invest and build up either in real estate, crypto, stocks, about 250,000 in just investments for this year.
it's investments.
So I don't want to hold on to anything. So I want to
Mm.
take it. It's either going to go into business or it's going to go in investments because if I would have did that a couple of years ago when I was supposed to
Yeah,
in crypto, it would have
I
been through the
know.
roof.
Yeah,
Stocks
I
through the
know.
roof. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to build and just live poor. We're gonna live poor. If my wife's watching this, we're gonna live poor for this whole year. We're gonna put everything into investments. And was that the opposite of what I said to do? It's gonna be strategic investments for this.
I think
But
that's awesome, man.
yeah, it's man. But now, before I can do that, taxes, man.
You're talking taxes, yeah.
Being a business owner, you're fearful of taxes when you're starting to go out on your own. Because I know I was. Everybody is.
I wasn't.
You wasn't?
No, I
Why, man?
wasn't.
Tell me, man. What?
'Cause I was dumb as fuck. That's why. No, I was totally ignorant. I knew that taxes had to happen, but I didn't. I kind of was like, ignorance is bliss. I didn't know how serious taxes could be, so I didn't go into it with that fear mentality of taxes. My So working as a independent contractor in social services gave me a little experience how to deal with taxes, and I did pretty well. Made a lot of money, and as a contractor, and then I had an LLC that helped me to pretty much alleviate a lot of tax issues because I had deductions on mileage. Like I had maybe about 3 grand in deductions a month from just driving, all the driving I was doing. So that definitely helped to alleviate a huge tax burden. Of course, learning about that double taxation where you're self-employed, if you're an employee, your employer is going to pay that tax. I think it's like 3.9%. But since you're not employed, you're self-employed, you got to pay it like literally twice. But I think having deductions definitely helped me out a lot. Now, of course, the issue is not when you're making 60 grand, it's when you're making a lot of money that it becomes more challenging. You got to find out more creative ways of what to do with your money. And I think the key and goal is tax planning, you know what I'm saying? And lots of reading, because even your accountant may or may not be versed on certain ways that you could alleviate your tax burden. And there are a lot of creative ways. There are a lot of I think what I learned, I read this book by Robert Kiyosaki, one of his tax advisors, and he said, the tax code is not really about all the ways they're going to tax you. The tax code is an instructional guide on how you can avoid paying taxes. And that blew my mind. I was like, what? You mean they want to help me avoid paying taxes? Especially if I'm doing the right things, And I think that's another mindset change. But definitely taking the time to read some books, get around some cool people that know some stuff. Yeah.
I think like just to kind of go back a little bit, because I know you said you kind of went into it gun ho and a little naive in it. I learned it by mistake because when we moved to California, it was it wasn't our goal originally to just say, okay, we're going to move to California, but we had a house, we own the property, and it was just kind of like, okay, in the next 6 months we got to go. So trying to determine what we're going to do with the property, we were going to sell it, but we couldn't sell it as quick as we wanted to. So, fortunately, Nika helped us, and she was our property manager, and we were able to cash flow on the property and benefit from being landlords.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the first, entry about 10 years ago. And then the second was, my wife and I, we have a publishing company, right? So having the LLC set up, having expenses and things like that, receiving, that was the next thing. So when I'm doing the taxes, it's like, oh, we actually, get a little bit of relief by having these expenses. So it all makes sense. So not being scared, meeting, having a good person to do your taxes, a planner, bookkeeper if you're, large enough. It'll take all the fear out of it. But to your point, you do, as the owner of the company, need to understand, one, what's available, two, what they're going to do, what's the direction, what's the pathway, because you're still liable for, any mistakes. It's on you as the owner.
It's definitely on you, Jeff. Definitely. I think that I think it's important. Maybe it's just to that point about going from employee to business owner. When you're an employee, you're following a system that's already pre-established. When you're a business owner, you're literally creating this system either from something that you purchased or you bought or you saw or you copied. But there are going to be things on the way you have to create yourself. You create yourself, and that system is going to allow you the freedom to do the things that will help develop your business. YouTube University, reading books, things that nature, just getting more information and say, you know what, I really have this desire of doing, like, for instance, I just want to be limitless in all my things that I do as far as financial ability. Like, I don't rely on the bank. I don't rely on the government. I don't rely on nothing or no one. I want to be a free person. So my business is an extension of that. So I'm always looking for the latest and greatest information that I don't know. And the more crazy it sounds, the more I'm interested. Because I'm like, at least if I find this out, it's gonna work, then I know it don't work. But it could be that next jewel, that next tool in my toolbox that nobody don't have.
But man, I agree with you, man. I look almost to a detriment. I look at things. I think that's part of my 2020, man. I'm planning, mapping things out so I won't get too taken by the new shiny object.
Yeah, new shiny objects, they can get you too. Yeah, yeah.
At the same time, though, you gotta know, you gotta have some time carved out just to do, because how does anybody evolve, man? You get information, you retain it, you try it out for yourself, right? Because you don't want to depend on somebody else telling you what their experiences are, right? Because everything may vary.
Right, and the thing for me is always, this person is looking at my finances from their perspective, but it ultimately it's still my business. This is me. They're looking literally at me. This is something I'm creating. So I want to, trust in some of their advising, but ultimately it's like you said, it's my say so.
Yep.
So if that tax bill that gets paid, they're not gonna pay it. I have to pay it. Mm-hmm. And if something happens, I'm still liable. So I run a lot of crazy ideas by my account, how I can lease my cars back to my own business, make money, how I can do a lot of kind of things that, are just kind of outside the box, but as long as it's legal, I want to do it.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Because you may be doing it, or you may thought want to do something. Especially, you mentioned leasing back the cars. You can lease your home if it's certain qualifications. You can have annual company meetings. You got a
Yeah.
minute. It's a lot of stuff you can do that fits in your normal routine. Travel, right? Like I'm going to a conference. So I'm traveling for the conference. It's a business expense. Yes, I'm going to the conference. So, I'm going to the conference. But it's so many things or benefits of being a business owner. But the fear, like I said, the title was avoid this, avoid, not getting educated on taxes, avoid, being, doing frivolous things with the revenue that you receive within your business, right? And, pick something that you like or at least know about, right? You don't have to necessarily love what your business is, but you have to pick something that you are skilled in, right? Especially if you're starting by yourself as a solopreneur.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, I would say is that in the end of the day, when you start your business, you gotta be committed to it. You gotta be committed to it. You can't quit. You know what I'm saying? You can't quit. I mean, you can't even quit in your mind.
Nope.
You can't quit in your mind. You can't say, okay, this is not gonna work. Like literally, like through these holidays, I've been getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning. I think I had New Year's off. Everything other than that, 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. You know what I'm saying? And I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Sometimes I'm tired. But in my head, this is already happened. You know what I'm saying? In my head, I'm fired up. Even if I look tired on the outside, I'm fired up in the inside. I know that on the other side of this is all the things that I've done as an employee. I started off in this path as an employee too. You work as an employee, you're gonna start off at the bottom. You can work your way up. You're gonna start getting more performance, and they're gonna reward you. Now I'm doing this as a business. The same thing. It just involves the commitment and dedication, and definitely the belief. You gotta believe that it's gonna happen.
Definitely. Yeah, and your payoff will come. Hard work comes, big payoff.
Big payoff.
Yeah. So, well, hey man, definitely, man. We went about a half an hour, first podcast of the year. Man, I'm just happy to be back and just have this outlet, man, to come in and talk.
Definitely.
So, yeah, 2022. That sounds weird, man. 2022 is gonna.
Is it just me, or did you think that cars would be flying right now?
Man, I was telling my daughters that. Yeah,
I thought cars would be flying right now. I was like, why the hell cars ain't flying?
They got to get up on it, man. We need them. At least the hoverboards. Is that a thing still?
Yeah, but they not really. The hoverboards are not really realistic. They have a metal ramp that has go on. It's like pretty archaic. It's not even like, it's not what we thought it was going to be when we looked at Back to the Future. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, cars are driving by themselves, so I guess we're in the right direction.
We're getting close. We're getting close, definitely. And I saw Elon Musk got some implants in your brain now, man. You see that? He got an implant that's a neural synapse connector.
Is that the right? You can get like pull up Google facts or internet facts just by asking or something.
I don't know. I didn't look at it that far, but I think I heard some things about, maybe that was the guy from Facebook talking about you can just basically download information into your head, basically. Like you can just download, like if I want to be like a Spanish speaking, Black gentleman, then I can just download Spanish one-on-one.
Like the Matrix.
Yeah, like habla español. ¿Qué pasa?
All right, man. I got to draw a line somewhere, man. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
But hey, well, definitely, man. Good talking with you this week. Everybody out there, please, if you haven't already, click a like, subscribe to us on YouTube. Triple